Okay, now I'm going to attach the terminal block. I've got a couple of small screws here. You could also hot glue it, but then when you take it off it's ugly, so I've gone to using less and less hot glue and more fasteners. So I like to use the screws. I'll attach that right in the middle here. Okay. Another thing that I've done is I took all these wires and I twisted them so that they are, not stranded. These will attach to the terminal block. Okay, so the motor on one side will attach here and here, and the next motor will attach to this screw and this screw. So all four be in line with each other. But you got to be very careful. Do not let one wire touch another wire that it's not supposed to. Okay, because if they connect together, then you'll have problems later. So make sure that you don't have any little whiskers of wire touching another wire, because it'll be a lot harder to solve the problem later on. So just avoid it right off the bat. Got to make sure you do this right. You don't want to come back and have to fix problems. Alright, so that attached that one. So I'll do the next wire of that motor right next to it, and then slowly work my way across with the other motor as well. Voila. So I got two right here and the other two to the other motor going off the other side. Next I'll show you the controller. You're going to need power. So I have these D size batteries. Now instead of 4 AA, we got 4D, and that makes it so that one battery pack can control both motors at the same time, because you need enough current to do that. Same voltage, just more capacity. Next we need two double pole, double throw momentary switches. Momentary means that it will always spring back to the center. So if you hit forward and then when you stop, don't want to go forward anymore, you can let go and it immediately stops. If you don't get momentary, then you have to force it back to the middle. So make sure when you buy these switches that they say momentary on them. You're going to need two of those. And to put it all together, I like to get a thin piece of masonite. The controllers go up through there, and they have screws that will attach them. And on the bottom, you can attach your power. Then when you hold it, it's like a game controller. And you can shape this however you want. This is a typical just straight shape, but I've seen students in the past make them look like, the controllers that come down, so it's a little bit easier to hold on to. Yeah, for wiring, there are 6 pins. The first thing you want to do is you want to create an X. Okay, and those two wires can't touch each other. You need to leave them shielded in the middle. So that's the first thing I'll do to both of these controllers, is I will solder the X on there. Okay, so first of all, I've made 2 wires stripped. They're really short, and those will create the X. I'll just twist the ends really good and feed them through. You solder it. And do it again to the other one. Okay. And now we have an X. Okay. Make sure that the wires don't touch each other, because again, that can be a very cause a very disastrous result later on. So eliminate all stray wires. Okay, I've attached the switches to the board using these screws here. So as you see there, it's pretty easy to attach them on there. And now I'll stick the battery compartment on. Okay, you can use hot glue or some small screws through the little holes here to attach it to your board. We have to go from one power supply to two switches, so we have to take the wires from the power supply and split it into two. So what I've done is I've cut and stripped some red wire here for this one. I have some black wire for the other one, and the best way to do this is to just twist all of them together. Okay, so we'll put all three together. We'll twist them. And then to make sure they stay together, we have a wire nut, and this has a little spring inside, and as you twist that down on top of those, all the wires will get entangled into that little spring, and they'll all stick together. So you should be able to, so now we have one wire splitting off into two, and then this can then come down to the two switches. The next step would be to take one of the black wires and one of the red wires and solder them to the bottom two, or it doesn't really matter which side, just one of the sides of the X. So one here, or the opposite. But make sure it's one red and one black. Same thing with the other switch. So I'll just quickly solder that. The next part is going to be getting the power down to the actual robot. So what I like to do is I get this cable here, and inside of it there are four cables, so it keeps everything together as it goes down. So what I like to do is I like to strip off enough to be able to go to both sides. So it's got to be able to split, go to both sides. So I'll strip off enough to do that, and then enough on the other side to divide up on the terminal block on the robot. Okay, so I stripped off the major insulation. So notice that one of the wires doesn't have any insulation on it at all. This one you have to be very careful with because it can cause the most problems if it were to touch another wire that it's not supposed to. The rest of them are good. Instead of doing this, if you want to get two strands of speaker wire, that works just as good, but then you have to kind of wrap the two cords together to form one giant tether. So whatever works good for you. So I'm going to go through, I'll strip these, and these will solder to the pins that haven't been soldered to yet at all, the ones in the center. Okay, so, and the colors are nice because if I go black and clear to this one, I got to make sure when I get down to the robot that the black and the clear go to the same motor. And then on the other one I'll do red and just the plain metal. So my controller is done. The switch on the left has the clear and the black, while the other one has the red and the blank. So I'm going to make sure the right colors go to the right sides of the robot.